Sheesh. All righty. Let's get into this, shall we? Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Kiorkof, and welcome to the fourth live stream in a row. That is 4 consecutive days. And as long as I can remember, that is the longest streak of days Andrew has ever gone live streaming here on the channel. I know we've done 3 days in a row before in the past, but this is 4. And hopefully maybe it'll turn to 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know. We're going to see how far this train goes. Greetings and salutations, everyone. Hope you all are doing well. Of course, for the next hour plus, I'm going to be trying to answer as many fantasy football related questions as possible. Keep you guys entertained. Draft alongside you guys via Underdog Fantasy. And make sure that everyone kind of leaves today's stream knowing more about fantasy football and hopefully, potentially getting that much closer to capturing a 2023 fantasy football championship. The name of the song is Double Helix. I know HoopKid32 asked that in the chat, so that is the name of the song if you're looking for it. It's one of the copyright free songs on the giant list of YouTube songs. I mean, all those years ago when I was looking for an intro, my brother found that one and said, "Hey, this should be pretty good." And I was like, "You know what? It works perfectly for the intro graphic. Let's get it going." So that's kind of the little bit of the background behind that. Hope y'all are doing well. Constantino, what's up? Hope you're doing well. Long time no see. Andrew Clark, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Again, a lot of these familiar names. Let's see here. All right, so we have a lot of questions. The first question, of course, I need to answer is in regards to a Discord or Patreon member real quick. Okay, so really quickly, Drew had sent in a question. I'm going to answer it on live. Hopefully, Drew, you're somewhere in here. I'm assuming you are. You're listening. Thank you, Drew. So you were asking in regards to trading Joe Burrow for Jalen Waddle in a keeper league. And my response was, okay, how many other quarterbacks are being kept in this league? Because that really does play a huge, difference into the decision you make in this regard. So you said, yes. So our keeper league can keep 9 players every year. So it's basically redraft starting from the 10th round. I have the 5th pick. The main studs are already on people's teams. So basically you're saying that, Drew, you would be subjected to having a really bad quarterback henceforth. Or you would be in a position where you're like, okay, I'm going to draft Bryce Young and have that be my quarterback that I keep henceforth. I think considering every other stud quarterback is gone or being kept already, considering each team can keep 9 players, as much as I love Waddle, I think for the future of your team, having Joe Burrow every year as a keeper is just, it's kind of a no-brainer unless you somehow find a trade in which you get a quarterback in exchange as well with Waddle, and then you also send a wide receiver so that at least you're not losing that quarterback depth that you require. So that's my thought process. You don't do it unless you actually get a quarterback in return that you know that is going to be in that upper tier. Thanks, Drew. Okay, so let's see what kind of questions we have in the chat, shall we? Let's go ahead. Let's click a couple buttons here. JRR Tokens says, which indie running back are you targeting while Taylor is out? The running back that I'm targeting is probably going to be Deion Jackson, primarily because Zach Moss is going to be probably out with the broken arm. They cut Kenyon Drake the other day, and Evan Hull is a rookie running back. So there may be a chance in which Evan Hull and Deion Jackson rotate, but considering the fact that Deion Jackson has proven that he can be a 3-down back, I don't know how well he plays in terms of being a pass protector, but really you're not going to need that much pass protection when you have the mobility of Anthony Richardson sitting back there. He'll be able to scramble and get out of those kind of tough scenarios where this offensive line has any sort of breakdown in terms of their protection schemes. But yeah, as of right now, it's Deion Jackson in my mind. Let's see here. Pables UI says, Amon-Ra St. Brown or JJ Boss? Amon-Ra St. Brown or Justin Jefferson? Is that your question? I mean, there's no other, or unless you're saying Josh Jacobs, because that's the only other JJ that it was Josh Jacobs. Okay, got it. I just had to scroll a little bit lower and I figured that out. At this moment, it depends what the scoring format is. I think that's kind of where I'm sitting. In a half PPR, I would probably take Jacobs. In a full PPR, I'd go Amon-Ra. Let's see here. KLOL says, what do you think about T. Higgins for Breece Hall and Jordan Addison? Thanks, brother. I mean, it depends on what kind of depth you need, right? Like if you're playing in a 10-team league and you are in desperate need of a running back, I could understand you making this move. If you're not in a desperate need for running back, you have 3 solid players, then I think this is kind of overkill. You don't need to bring in Breece Hall with the potential of, everything that kind of looms around his knee, the Dalvin Cook situation. It would be probably in your best interest, especially in a full PPR, to have T. Higgins. But again, it's if your team requires the running back depth. And if it does, you bring in another guy. Original Militia in the chat was saying, you think Eckler is worth it this year? Yeah, I think so. I mean, we all know he's going to regress, right? He's not going to be as good as he was last year. Now, the reason why we say that is because he's not going to catch the ball 107 times, but who knows? I mean, there's always a potential in which Mike Williams, Keenan Allen get hurt again, and Justin Herbert gets back to just, hey, I'm going to check it down every single time aggressively, and there's their offense once again this year. And then they also continue to give him the ball on the ground 200 times. He gets to 200 touches. He gets himself 70 plus receptions. He scores 18 touchdowns again, and then it's over. And then he's 300-point running back. It's not out of the realm of possibility for him to repeat, considering no one else is competing for touches out of the backfield within the Chargers organization. So when you're asking, is he worth it? Absolutely. He still has high ceiling, and he still has a very high floor of production additionally, which makes him that much more intriguing of a fantasy option. Of course, I mean, the guy's been the number 1 and number 2 overall back in fantasy for the last 2 years. So, of course, he's great. Zeke or Warren, season-long PPR? I'll take Warren there. Yeah, I'll take Warren. Again, if we're talking about a PPR format, the assumption is that Zeke's not going to catch the ball much, right? He has the capabilities of doing so, don't get me wrong, but I do believe at this point in his career, the way that his body's kind of holding up and the fact that they have a 17-game season ahead of them, 18 weeks, we're going to see a lot less Zeke in the receiving game. We're going to see him utilized on third downs far less because Ramondre Stevenson is a proficient pass blocker, so there isn't really going to be a need for him there. And that PPR upside that Warren could potentially present if, in fact, that offense does look to him on third down far more and he catches, 60 passes this year. I don't know. It's possible. I'm not saying that's what he's going to do. I'm just saying when we're looking towards upside, it could be a value there. Let's see here. Gio is Brown says 12-team full PPR. I have Justin Herbert. My number 1 RB is Najee Harris. Great for the thumbnail. RB2 is James Conner. Wide receiver 1 is Diggs along with CeeDee Lamb. And we have Evan Ingram, Mike Williams in the flex. Grade, ? If I'm grading this in a half PPR scoring format, I'd probably give you, what's the grade for this team? Maybe like it's definitely in the B range. I don't know if it's a B- or a B flat. I'm just thinking like, as my RB1, if I'm getting Najee Harris and my RB2 is James Conner, I would hope that the quarterback and tight end like advantage I get would be better than Justin Herbert, Evan Ingram. That's the only reason why I'm kind of hesitant, because I don't like Evan Ingram. I think you know that already. I love Conner. I love Diggs. I love CeeDee Lamb. I love Mike Williams this year. I think their upside is certainly there. I just don't like Evan Ingram in this regard, which bothers me. But that's it. Other than that, I mean, pretty solid roster. Let's see here. We had that. Cool. We had a question coming from Feeney. Feeney says, should I trade Barkley plus Keenan Allen for Tyreek Hill? No. Keep Barkley and Keenan Allen. Yeah, you want to keep those two for sure. Chubbs says, I'm drafting JT in the 5th round. Is it too early? Is the 5th round too early? Listen, I'm going to have Jonathan Taylor ranked as like an RB2, like a really low-end RB2, like ranked 20-something, 21, 22-ish. So 5th round, I don't think it's completely a terrible position. I did hear earlier today the rumors were, or I don't know, I mean, I guess it's confirmed considering a couple notable names did mention it, in regards to the Indianapolis Colts. The secret team besides the Miami Dolphins that were interested in Jonathan Taylor were the Green Bay Packers. Now, I mean, that in itself could have really blown up fantasy, football by all intents and purposes. But yeah, at this point, I'm thinking to myself, if he's not traded to Miami, he ends up playing for the Colts come week 5. But even then, man, like investing in Jonathan Taylor, you are inherently just making your entire season that much more hectic and that much more kind of, I'd say volatile. Like if you don't start off strong and you catch 4 L's in a row and then you get to week 5 and Jonathan Taylor's like, I'm not playing for this team, trade me, and they don't trade him, then you're in an even worse spot, right? So like there's a lot of risk implied within it. Jesus says, are you going to do any drafts? I'm I'm new to the channel. I just want to hop in one with you. Yeah, we'll definitely do a couple drafts via Underdog Fantasy. Again, for those of you guys who haven't checked out Underdog, we'll be drafting there in probably, I'd say, let's say 10 minutes. And then I'll continue to answer questions as we draft together. If you guys haven't checked them out, there's a link down in the description. At this current moment in time, the current promotion revolves around using code Andrew, which is my code, making a first-time deposit, minimum of $10 and upwards. So if you make that deposit, you'll not only get the deposit match up to $100, you'll additionally get my 2023 Fantasy Football Draft Guide, the rankings that are associated with that, by tier, by position, half PPR, full PPR, 4-point per passing touchdown, 6-point per passing touchdown, and you'll get rankings every single week, every Sunday morning from my email to yours. So regardless of what you're doing on Sundays this upcoming season, you'll have my rankings and you'll know who I would start in my flex, in my starting quarterback spot. Tight end, doesn't matter. All that kind of jazz will be implicated and ready to go for you. Thank you. We saw Paul send in a question. Paul said, Sam Laporta, Luke Musgrave, Chigoziem Okonkwo, or Dalton Kincaid. My tight end is the only weak spot of my team. That's fine. I mean, listen, I've said it before. I'll say it again. If you're going to have a weak spot on your team, having it be tight end is perfectly fine, because every single season, there are going to be a handful of tight ends that are going to be first, the first time ever in their careers, they're going to meet the top 12, kind of ranking, and they'll be waiver wire pickups. So hopefully, as of the names you mentioned, I feel like there is a very good chance that Sam Laporta, Chigoziem Okonkwo, Dalton Kincaid are all capable of doing so. Luke Musgrave has seen a high overall percentage of targets and snaps as the first team, tight end of that team, of the Green Bay Packers. So he has a potential, but I mean, I wouldn't count on that. Yeah, I wouldn't count it that being the case rather than the other three options you previously mentioned. But in a full PPR, if I'm picking one of these options, I mean, I'm actually curious. Do I have Dalton Kincaid ahead of Chigoziem Okonkwo in a full PPR? If I don't already, I would probably say I'm fine with that. I'd probably take that. And I'd roll with Kincaid going forward. Again, there is inherent risk with going with Kincaid because he is a rookie tight end, and we all know the history of that. So yeah, in a full PPR scoring format, I already have Kincaid as my number 12 tight end. I have Chigoziem Okonkwo as my 14 tight end. I have Sam Laporta as 17, and I have Luke Musgrave further down. Where is he at? He's definitely further down. He's in the 20s. So yeah, Dalton Kincaid will be my suggestion there. And then your follow-up question is thoughts on Breece Hall. Yeah, here's my only thought on Breece Hall, right? I am perfectly fine, where he's being drafted, but the issue with Breece Hall, considering there is Dalvin Cook in this backfield, I somehow, for some reason, I combine Dalvin and Cook and I make Dak. All right, so be it. Because of Dalvin Cook's presence, there is no way, there's not no way. Let's just put it this way. If, in fact, Breece Hall gets injured in any sort of capacity, whether it's a hamstring injury or an ankle injury or a quad injury, if at any point he misses time, his overall investment where you're currently having to draft him, it is going to bite you in the ass. That's all I'm saying. He's going far too early on draft boards currently, based on the fact that he's coming off of an ACL injury and the history of running backs we have seen over the entire course of the NFL. The literal only running back that has ever been able to come back and be just as good, if not better than he was before the injury, is Adrian Peterson. No one else. Jamar Charles was not the same. Obviously Dalvin Cook, Saquon Barkley, they were not the same after the ACL injury, going into their first year. They were not the same running back. And obviously it takes time to kind of rebuild all the muscles around that knee and get comfortable and not run scared, because it does play a toll on your mind. So it's just a matter of, can he just stay healthy? I'm not talking about his knee. I'm talking about the rest of his body, because if the rest of his body falls apart because of the knee and him compensating for it, therein lies the issue. Let's see here. What else we have? We had a question coming from Dante. Dante, thank you very much. Says, which wide receiver or running back can I get for Christian Watson and DeAndre Hopkins? Which wide receiver or running back can I get for one of those options? I mean, look, it depends, right? At this moment, I'm assuming you drafted Christian Watson, hopefully in like the fourth round. I mean, what are the fourth round running backs that come off the board? That's kind of where I'm looking. Like if I'm going to move pieces right now, I would not trade a 4th round wide receiver for a 6th round running back. It just wouldn't make sense, right? Like, I need to be able to recover the draft capital that I'm losing. Or if I'm going to trade upward, someone's got to be in trouble. I'm going after the guy that, well, technically considering you're trading wide receivers, you're not going after the guy who has Jonathan Taylor. But you might go after the team that has a Jerry Jeudy on their roster, and maybe they're thin at the position. You're like, all right, I can give you a wide receiver. Give me one of your better running backs. But it's a matter of just getting back the value at which the ADP was selected for the specific wide receivers you're talking about, which is Christian Watson and DeAndre Hopkins. Otherwise, I mean, I think they're both on my board at least lower end wide receiver 2s with upside of being higher end wide receiver 2s. So they can finish as like wide receiver 13 through 15. It's just a matter of, are the touchdowns there? Because the yardage and the receptions will certainly be there for both these guys. It's just a matter of touchdowns. So if you're going to equate that to a running back, 3rd round running back in specific, like I'm thinking Kenneth Walker's to an extent. Isaac sends in a question, says, what should I do with Jonathan Taylor? You keep him. You go get Deion Jackson. You keep Jonathan Taylor. You're not going to move him. And if in fact someone in your league wants to trade for Jonathan Taylor early in the season and they're willing to give you at least something that's respectable, a running back that is within like the top 18 rankings of my list at least, I'd be comfortable swapping that out immediately. Otherwise, you got to roll with it. You've kind of made your bed with the investment. There's nothing really you can do. So you either got to get out of it, pronto and at least get back some value to where, yeah, you may lose a little bit, but at very least, you're still gaining the RB depth that you'll require for the remainder of the season. Okay, let's see here. Someone was asking, are we doing a draft tonight? Yes, we are. We'll do it in about, let's say, 8 minutes from now. We'll start it at 9:10 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and kind of preemptively prepare that just so that as soon as we get to that time, I can fire it up and we're good to go. Ahmed had a question, says, please answer, Andrew, with fire emojis galore. I'm in a 2 QB league with the 7th overall pick. My league mates will all select wide receiver, running back, and Kelsey for the first 6 picks. Do I go quarterback at 1.07 and 2.4? Or do I go quarterback, running back, wide receiver? Yeah, I would suggest you just take one quarterback. The only reason you would ever justify going back-to-back quarterbacks in a league would be in a 6-point per passing touchdown format. So considering that is not the case in your scenario because you didn't mention it, I'd assume it's 4-point per passing touchdown format, Ahmed, and your appropriate approach would be like, hey, if the best prospects are gone, you don't want to go with any of these running backs, take a quarterback in the first and then follow it up with a running back or wide receiver in the third. And then, in the second and in the third. And then if you're going to go back in on quarterback, you go back in on the 4th. Thank you. Let's see. Original Militia was saying, what do you think about Trevor Lawrence this year? Man, I have high hopes for him. Again, I've mentioned it probably more than a handful of times, but I love talking about Trevor Lawrence, so I'll say it again. When I've done the research in regards to quarterbacks that have gotten an elite level wide receiver in year 3, right? We're talking about Tua with Tyreek, Jalen Hurts with A.J. Brown, Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs, Jared Goff with Brandon Cooks, Amari Cooper joining Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. All those quarterbacks, right? Those 5 examples. Those quarterbacks specifically, when they got to year 3, they got these significantly better wide receivers to join them. And then they all had statistical jumps that were significant. In fact, the averages across the board for those 5 quarterbacks in specific were 20% plus in passing yards, passing touchdowns, and fantasy points from the year prior. So if you do that kind of jump for Trevor Lawrence going into this season, especially considering how well he was playing late last season throughout the regular season, I mean, he could very easily jump into the conversation of being at the level of Justin Herbert. He could get there. I know Justin Herbert has had more years to prove it, considering Trevor Lawrence's rookie season with Urban Meyer was an absolute disaster, but I really do think that his upside's there. Luis says, is Adams a bust this year? No. It would be very difficult for Devontae Adams to not perform for fantasy purposes, because regardless of who the quarterback is, the offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels, in order to keep his job, they have to win games still. Like, you can't just like survive in the league not winning games. There have been a lot of, coaches that have been hired and it didn't even take a year and they're gone. So as long as this team doesn't embarrass themselves, their objective is to get the ball to their two best players and hope that they can dominate, which is Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams. And that'll be the entire game plan for every single week. So I don't think that there's a possibility in which Adams busts unless he finds himself on the injured reserve in some sort of capacity, which, again, every prospect would bust if they get injured, right? So that's just kind of like a redundant comment. Let's see here. Raul Boyd says, traded Zay Flowers and Kenneth Walker for Ramondre Stevenson. Still have Charbonnet. Good trade or no? In a full PPR, I'd say yes, because I like the receiving upside of Ramondre that he provides in that regard. Why are you so sorry? What is his name? I'm gonna call you I for now. EYE I. Why are you so high on Miles Sanders compared to the other analysts? I don't know. I mean, I feel like other people are ignoring the fact that he's a 3-down back. I don't get it. I mean, the only negative argument you can make against Miles Sanders is saying, well, Andrew, he's not a 3-down back. Chuba Hubbard is going to dig into a lot of his work. Okay, well, let's think about this. The offense for the Carolina Panthers has a head coach who quite literally since 2018 with the Indianapolis Colts, no matter whether it was Nyheim Hines, Marlon Mack, or Jonathan Taylor, they had the second most rushing attempts amongst all teams throughout that 5-year span, only behind the Tennessee Titans. So you know that Frank Reich specifically wants to build his teams around running the ball. So you bring in and pay Miles Sanders this offseason. In terms of all free agent running backs, they paid him the most money amongst all running backs that were available as free agents. Not just, I'm not talking about guys who were potentially going to be hit with a franchise tag. So in specific, you spend a lot of money, you bring in a player, you want to run the ball because of the head coach and the offensive scheme that he runs because he is the primary play caller of his teams. We saw that in Indianapolis. Then you additionally bring in Deuce Staley, formerly of, running back coach of the Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles, both at the Lions and with the Philadelphia Eagles. When Deuce Staley's been there, they've targeted their running backs a lot in those given years. Specifically, you go back to 2018, 2019, Miles Sanders' rookie and sophomore year in the NFL. Deuce Staley was the running backs coach of the Eagles then. They targeted him 63 times and 52 times in those 2 years. Like, there is, unless Miles Sanders gets injured, he should be in for a huge workload of opportunity within this offense. I think people are just afraid of the offense. They think, okay, the Carolina Panthers are probably not going to score a lot, which means Miles Sanders is probably not going to score a bunch of touchdowns. It doesn't really make a difference. He doesn't have to score 11 touchdowns to be relevant in fantasy. He'll get the rushing attempts, he'll get the rushing yards, he'll get the receptions and the receiving yards, and then he'll get the sprinkles of red zone work that they do get. I mean, sure, he might only score 6 rushing touchdowns compared to 11 last year, but I'm sure he can make up 30 fantasy points worth of overall touchdown points in the receiving game that now he'll be implemented in comparison to last year where there was no implementation at all. That was a long way of answering a simple question. I could have just said because, but again, I'm a long-winded person. I literally put out a video today where I talked about draft strategies for 45 minutes straight, nonstop, full speed. Yeah, I don't know if there are many other people that'll talk as much as I do or for an extended time on some of these topics. I just love it too much. That's just what it is. All right, really quickly, in about a minute, we're gonna go ahead and hop into a draft. Ooh, that's at the Rottweiler, huh? It's a 350. Ooh, jeez, that's an interesting one. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the link down in the chat in regards to this Underdog fantasy draft. So if you guys are interested, you can join by clicking the link, making an account, using code Andrew, making that first time deposit, because you'll also get the first time deposit match. You get my draft guide, the rankings, and of course rankings every single Sunday morning from weeks 1 through 18 of the 2023 fantasy football season. Almost said 22. With the singular purpose of trying to help you guys win a championship this year. So be sure to join. Let me go ahead and I'll throw that up on screen once we get a little bit closer to filling out that overall league. We had a couple questions that came in. I just saw Diego. Diego, let me go ahead and get to you in a moment. Let's see here, Diego. Diego says, I'm in a full PPR 12-man league. I have Pierce and A.J. Brown. Okay, so this is a trade question. Pierce and A.J. Brown or Josh Jacobs and Mike Williams. Pierce or A.J. Brown, Mike Williams, okay, I'll take Josh Jacobs and Mike Williams. That's what I prefer. I'll take both those guys. I know that they have the potential injury kind of risk with Mike Williams, but I think overall I prefer Josh Jacobs probably equally to, I don't know if it's equal. Maybe I give an advantage to A.J. Brown just slightly because of the PPR format, but I do prefer Mike Williams over Dameon Pierce in that regard. So I'll go back in the direction of the Jacobs, Mike Williams overall side. Thank you. Matthew says, Garrett Wilson worth a first-round pick? If you think he's going to finish as a top 5 wide receiver, yes. If you do not believe he's going to finish as a top five wide receiver in specific, I'm talking about 260 plus half PPR points or 300 plus full PPR points. If you don't believe he's capable of accomplishing that, then you probably shouldn't. But if you think you can, then, go for it. All right, let's see here. Brian, or let's see here. Where is it? Yeah, Brian R. says, rate my team. Cup, St. Brown, Ridley. I mean, is that really just your team? Let me see. Did you have any other message? Brian R? Where are you at, my man? Oh, Brian R is all together. There you go. Okay, you're sending multiple. Okay, so you have Cup, St. Brown, and Ridley. I mean, already in itself, you have ridiculous wide receiver depth. Your running backs are Dalvin Cook, Breece Hall, and Khalil Herbert. Man, you are really... I mean, you're pushing the envelope. I'll tell you that much, Brian. You really are. That is sketchy. I'll be totally honest. I understand you're pretty much, just absorbing all of the Jets' backfield. So the hope is that those two guys will ball out. But it's a risky one when you have 3 stud wide receivers, sure, that are going to carry this team, but your running backs are all on the same team. So there are going to be some situations where one of the two may end up popping off. Maybe both of them are able to, coexist within the backfield. The only way I want to say, am I 100% certain of it? Yeah. Since 2018, there have been 10 teams that have been able to sustain 2 running backs within the top 24 rankings, right? So if we're under the assumption that Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall can both be top 24 options, the New York Jets in specific this season have to be top 10 in giving their running backs total opportunities. So when we're talking about total opportunities, it's rushing attempts and targets. If they can get into the top 10, similar to the way that Nathaniel Hackett, of course, as the former offensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers back in 2019 through 2021, if they can repeat those numbers, then sure, both those guys have the ability and the opportunity to be top 24 guys. Otherwise, I think it's sketchy. Definitely could be sketchy. Let's see here. We had a question from Oscar Jimenez. Thank you very much, Oscar. Let me see where you're at, my man. Where's Oscar? Oscar. Okay. Oscar says, I have Tyreek Hill, Garrett Wilson, Cam Akers, and James Cook. What moves would you do? I mean, I don't think you need to make moves in specific. I mean, look, you made the conscious decision, hey, I'm going Tyreek Hill and Garrett Wilson. And I think that's 2 really good selections, especially considering Tyreek Hill is an early first selection. And in the fact you were able to get Garrett Wilson as late as you were in the second round, that's a great stack. Now, considering you have Akers and James Cook, you may be worried because these aren't, the most sexiest picks. I would say that, I mean, they're not going to be league winners per se. They're going to get their job done, and if they play beyond their overall kind of expectation, fantastic. They just have to stay healthy, and they'll be efficient enough because they're going to get the vast majority of the touches within their backfield. So even though their names aren't like popping off the page and we're super excited about them, I still think that you're just sticking with what you have, Oscar. You don't really have to make any moves. Michael Barton says, would you start Luke Musgrave? Would you start Luke Musgrave for a late round tight end? What do you mean start? Would I draft? I don't mind drafting him, but it's got to be in a deeper league, right? Otherwise, it just wouldn't justify itself. I don't think I'm rostering him unless I actually think he's going to start for my team. All right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to swap the screen real quick to the Underdog Fantasy Draft really quickly. Again, if you guys are interested, I'll go ahead and drop the link in the chat just so we're all available here. Let's go ahead and drop this here. If you guys are interested, go ahead and join today. Thank you very much. Okay, let's see here. We had a question that came in from Jaden Thornton. Jaden, what's up, man? Aaron Jones or Deebo Samuel will bounce back. Aaron Jones or Deebo Samuel? I'm so confused. Aaron Jones or Deebo will? Deebo bounce back? Question mark. Thanks. Yeah, I'm going to assume you're asking which one. I mean, Aaron Jones doesn't need a bounce back. Aaron Jones was a top 12 guy last season, so I don't really have any doubts regarding Aaron Jones. If I'm picking between the two, and that's your primary question, Jaden, I'd prefer Aaron Jones over Deebo Samuel. Can Deebo Samuel bounce back? It depends what he's bouncing back to. Is he bouncing back to being a 300-point player? Absolutely not. He can bounce back to being far more consistent and being a top 24 wide receiver. That's more in the realm of possibility, I'd say. Let's see here. Silver Soul Jones. What's up, man? Long time no see. Have to drop one to pick up a kicker. We have Charbonnet, we have James Cook, we have Dotson, we have Burks, we have JSN, we have Sky Moore. I'm dropping Treylon Burks. If it's my team, I drop Treylon Burks. I keep Charbonnet. I keep James Cook for sure. I keep Jahan Dotson for sure. JSN was practicing today and catching passes, and I keep Sky Moore just for the potential. Of maybe, just maybe, Patrick Mahomes found himself a new favorite receiver that he wants to throw the ball to. I don't think it's likely, but, just in case. Jesse G says, rate my team. I'm in a half PPR. We have Henry, JT, Jahmyr Gibbs, Lamar Jackson, Michael Thomas, Michael Williams, Brandon Cooks, DJ Moore, and Dalton Kincaid. Okay, so considering you went triple RB early, you still were able to get decent wide receiver help with Mike Williams and DJ Moore. If JT returns in week 5 for you, you're in a really good spot because you have Henry, Jahmyr Gibbs, and JT, and Lamar. That's the only thing. Is JT going to return? So, I mean, if and when he does, hopefully, whether it's for, the Colts or another organization, you'll be fine. I know that Charbonnet's on your bench. At this point, your roster is probably going to have to be Jahmyr Gibbs and Henry as your 1-2 RBs, and then you're starting, of course, DJ Moore and Mike Williams as your 1-2 wide receivers. Kincaid's your tight end, which it's relatively sketchy, but we'll take it for the half PPR format. You're probably going to have to start Michael Thomas in your flex. I'm hoping Michael Thomas will be, heavily utilized within that offense. I'm hoping. I don't know if that's a guarantee, but yeah, we'll see. Overall, if I'm grading this team in terms of a grade, I don't know how many teams are in this league. I'd probably say we're looking at I don't even have the full scope of your team. I'd say B+. Okay, moving on. We had Champagne Fantasy says, what is your question, Champagne? We have a 10-team league, full PPR, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 2 flex. Okay, understood. The flex could be a tight end as well. Understood. Here's my team. I have Jalen Hurts, I have AJ Brown, I have T. Higgins, I have Ramondre Stevenson, DeAndre Swift, Hawkinson, Mike Williams. My bench consists of Robinson, Judy, Davis, Mitchell, Penny, Kadarius Toney, Jonathan Taylor. Okay, so really, if and when Jonathan Taylor returns, you have Stevenson, Taylor, AJ Brown, Higgins, Hurts, Hawkinson, and that is a monster team. And the reason why it's because it's a 10-team league. So there are very little situations. I think that you have the ability to survive without Jonathan Taylor, and honestly, you could win a lot of games without him as long as DeAndre Swift is that number 1. If he's not, at very least, you can be able to put in Brian Robinson and still get value there. But I think Swift will probably, especially in a full PPR, be significantly higher valued, especially in the first couple weeks of games. So I think you're fine. I don't have any problem if you're saying help. Any advice, bro, just stay pat. You don't need to make any moves. You don't need to get crazy about it. Just keep what you have because you have studs across the board. You're going to need to wait until Judy gets healthy. My suggestion immediately would place Jerry Judy on the IR at any moment that he gets from questionable to out. If they ever move him to out, you put him on the IR and you pick somebody else up immediately just to be able to abuse having an extra roster spot. That's it. Other than that, really, you don't got to make any moves. I'm not trading Taylor away, and I'm not trading for any other running backs because you don't need any really at this point. All right, the draft has begun. We have the 5th overall pick. A couple more questions that were in here. Barbaris94 in the chat was saying, I have Mahomes. Do I pick up either Toney or Rice? I have to drop one for Cooks. I have to drop one of Cooks / or Davis. I'm actually curious now. No. I would not swap anybody out there. I'd keep Gabe Davis. I'd keep Brandon Cooks. I don't have Toney or Rice ranked higher than either of those two because I don't think that they'll get consistent enough utilization within the offense. I think it's going to be far more of a rotation. So yeah, I'd keep what you have for now. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Delmar. Delmar says, I'm in a 10-team full PPR league auction. Let me know what your thoughts are on Jalen Hurts, Christian McCaffrey, Tony Pollard, my goodness. A.J. Brown, Amari Cooper, my goodness. Hawkinson, Addison, Charbonnet, Elijah Moore, Bateman, Harris, Boyd, and Singletary. I mean, that's as good of a team as you can get. I'm going to be totally honest. That's as good of a team as you can get. I have no complaints about it. I would have loved to have seen one more running back on this team, not named Charbonnet, that gives you a little bit more depth. But quite honestly, I'm not complaining. Yeah, I'm not complaining at all. That's a really strong team, Delmar. Retro Fan says, can't you do drafts over $3? That's Walmart buy-in. Yeah, we can do drafts more than $3, but I think it gives more expansiveness to everyone here, right? It covers everyone's budget. I'm not trying to specifically like neglect people because, you know, they don't have as much. So we're trying to get everyone in to give everyone an opportunity. Inclusivity, baby. All right. Let's hear. Bank sends in a question, says, second pick, 10-player, half PPR league. Is Christian McCaffrey, Mixon, Allen a good start for the first three? If those are the best available, I mean, second pick in a half PPR, I would take McCaffrey. If the draft comes back to me and there isn't a better wide receiver than Mixon, I'd go Mixon. That's fine by me. And then you take Allen in the third, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that, Bank. Again, it just depends on what's available. But if that's the kind of experimental thought process, you're thinking that's what you'll have available to you, that's a good way to approach for now. Let's see here. Brian R continues by saying he has Deshaun Watson, Kittle. Okay, so you at least have some quarterback and tight end advantages, and you have Justin Tucker, and you have the Jets defense, so you're better off there. But yeah, those running backs scare me. They really do. Having Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall on the same team is as scary as it can get. It really can, because like at this point, you're going to have to start both of them every single week. You cannot sit one on the bench, because guess what happens when you sit one on the bench and that guy scores a touchdown? You're going to be pissed. So you'll probably, most likely, in my opinion, have to just start them both going forward. Jason in the chat was saying, can you look at my question? Yeah, sure. Jason. I am searching in the wrong chat. Let me throw this up on screen. Sorry, guys. Apologize. Jason says, I'm in a 10-team full PPR. I have Fields, Bijan, Jacobs. Okay, Gibbs. Yep. Deontay Johnson, Mike Williams, Hollywood Brown, OBJ, Flowers, Waller. Should I change anything? I don't think you should. Look, you went triple RB and then you went into a quarterback. You neglected wide receiver, and that's perfectly fine. You have players that will be able to sustain in this approach. I don't think you make any changes. I mean, you have three running backs that are quite literally great pass catching backs with Bijan, Jacobs, and Gibbs. So you're going to have the upside of their receiving game absolutely impact the PPR format. You have Fields, which of course is a top 5 quarterback in my mind. Deontay Johnson, again, is probably going to have another 140 targets, will probably be significantly better than last year. And by the end of this year, we'll say, well, we told you so. Mike Williams is a guy that if he can stay healthy, of course, has super high upside as well. Hollywood Brown scares me. I would hope that he can at least have a sustainable quarterback that can keep him within that 10-point range. I don't think that'll be the case. I'm back on the clock. I can't believe Tony was taken in front of me like that. That's disgusting. That is absolutely putrid. We'll just take Jacobs here, happily, actually. Thank you very much. I would have loved to have Pollard, though. I mean, I'll take Jacobs anyway, because I think Jacobs is as good, especially considering this team wants to utilize him as much as they do in the receiving game. That's always fun. So yeah, at this point, I don't think you need to make any moves. If you're going to make a move, you have to, at that point, like really trade one of your running backs for a wide receiver upgrade, but you don't have any running back depth outside of your top 3 to be able to make that move, Jason. So you just keep it as is and you're fine. Let's see here. Tony America. Tony America says, rate my 12-team full PPR league. We have Justin Herbert, Travis Etienne, Jonathan Taylor, Lamb, Deontay, Kelsey, J.K. Dobbins, Jahan Dotson, Gibson, Warren, Mostert, Deion Jackson, and Sutton. Okay, so Taylor's tough, man, because while Taylor's out, I guess you can start Antonio Gibson in his stead for the couple weeks there. Or you can play J.K. Dobbins there and then throw Jahan Dotson in at the flex. That could also additionally work considering it's a full PPR scoring format. So at least you'll survive there for a while. Until the return, I mean, you have Kelsey and Lamb. That's the real thing. If you get, yeah, considering you got a discount on Taylor and you have Kelsey, Lamb, Taylor, ETN, this is a strong team. He's got to come back. I mean, that's pretty much everything I'm going to say about every Jonathan Taylor team. Is he going to return? And when he does, is he going to be playing for the right team? Because if he is, then at that point, you'll have invested properly and it would have paid off. So in terms of your depth on your bench, having Mostert, Deion Jackson, like, I feel like you're never going to play those guys. I guess you can keep them on roster because, again, if they end up, commanding actual fantasy upside, then you can maybe move them or utilize them in the absence of Taylor. So I guess it's fine. I like Sutton potentially in the absence of Judy, but I think Marvin Mims would have been somebody that I'm looking for in terms of a long-term, stable wide receiver play for that organization. What do we have available to us? Top 3 quarterbacks are gone. Jonathan Taylor's still on the board. It's too early. T. Higgins is available, which is not bad at all. Mark Andrews is available. I probably go Mark Andrews here. I don't really need to stack on wide receivers too heavily. Yeah, we'll take the Mark Andrews play. Let me throw the board back up. Sorry. So, yeah, at this point, keep it as is. Keep it rolling. Let's hope that JT comes back healthy. Dante Jones says trade ideas in a 12-man full PPR. I have Mahomes, Gibbs, Swift, Chase, DJ Moore-Muth, Hopkins, Judy, Elliott, Odell Beckham. Trade ideas? I mean, you know what you need? Dante, you need, with Gibbs, Swift, Chase, DJ Moore, you can't move any of those pieces. You can move Hopkins, but he's your primary flex. And until Judy comes back, you kind of can't move Hopkins unless you're going to trade him and bring in a flex player, which at that point, I guess you can trade Hopkins in for another receiver if someone prefers Hopkins over what they have. Otherwise, you're kind of stuck in this tough spot because the depth in which your team, because considering you took Mahomes, let's see here, you went Chase, you went Mahomes, and then you went Gibbs in the 3rd round. Yeah, you're relatively thin at wide receiver, which scares me. So moving Hopkins could hurt. So I honestly don't think you can move here. The only way you can move is if one of those bench players early in the first couple weeks of the season end up like stringing together 2 good games, and then you can start kind of making some moves here. Okay, let's see here. Jordy Peasy in the chat was saying, I have Kittle. Who should I drop? Higbee, Gus Edwards, Kendre Miller, Rashawn Johnson, Elijah Mitchell, or Mingo? I would drop Gus. Actually, no, I would drop Kendre Miller. That's who I would drop. I'd rather actually keep Gus Edwards just in case. Jimmy was saying that's me at 4. I mean, you're going with that double wide receiver start, huh, Jimmy? You're really pushing the envelope, man. You're really pushing it. Absolutely. All right, let's see here. Any good dart throws as a late pickup? I mean, what's late? I mean, are we dart throwing on Marvin Mims or are we dart throwing on Adam Thielen? Which one of those two is considered a late pickup? I guess it depends on what you kind of categorize it as. Let's see here. Saya sends in a question. Hopefully I didn't butcher the name. I think I did, but apologies in advance. Says I'm in a 14-team league, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. In a full PPR scoring format, I have Josh Allen, Miles Sanders, DeAndre Swift, Jamar Chase, Ridley, DJ Moore, Kincaid, Dotson, Moore. Okay, so we have Bigsby, Gainwell, etc. Thoughts? What should I target? What changes should you target? I mean, you have Chase, Ridley, and Moore. So your wide receivers are set. Your quarterback is set. Your Kincaid stack with Allen is okay, but in a full PPR, it is better than, if it was in a half or standard format. At that point, it would have been a little bit of a struggle. Sanders and Swift is a matter of, hey, we have to wait and see what Swift ends up becoming. You could trade Swift now and just kind of gamble away the gem that you've picked up. If Swift ends up delivering like we know he can, if you go back to 2021, for the first 11 weeks of the season, prior to that Thanksgiving game against the Chicago Bears where Swift got injured, busted his shoulder, and then was out for pretty much the remainder of the year until he came back and wasn't really himself because he came back too early because I don't know why. DeAndre Swift gets hurt and then he comes back too early every single time. That's his issue. That's his negative trait. So amongst everybody on your team, Swift is the sketchiest one, but he's also the guy that could end up being the key player for your team's upside. So I don't even want to move him. I kind of want to wait and see what he provides. Your bench depth of Bigsby and Gainwell is not going to provide any trade upside. Neither is Elijah Moore. I think Jahan Dotson could, but you have to find someone who actually prefers. Let's see here. Mike Williams is available. Brees Hall, Aaron Jones. I'm pretty much going Aaron Jones here. It's kind of hard for me not to. I like Mike Williams, but seeing as if everyone here, I mean, we have two teams here that didn't take any running backs. If they end up grabbing running back and it comes back to me, I'm not going to be too happy with what's remaining. So I'll just take Aaron Jones here and I'll just let it ride. So yeah, at this point, I'm thinking to myself, you can't move. I mean, I guess you can move DJ Moore and then just have Jahan Dotson as your wide receiver 3 henceforth. But I mean, what are you going to get for DJ Moore? Like DJ Moore right now gets selected in the 4th round, right? So unless you're getting a Travis Etienne, Ramondre, Aaron Jones in exchange, you don't move him, right? Like it's kind of hard for that to take place. And to be honest, on Underdog, wide receiver comes off the board far more quickly than other formats. So honestly, DJ Moore probably on a different format is actually a 5th or 6th round pick, which means the running back value that was selected in that given round and what someone will probably compare him to is probably far lesser. It'd probably be like around the range of getting a Damian Pierce in exchange, which honestly at this point, I'd rather just keep what you have. Okay, let's see here. Where are we at? We had a question come in from Luis. Luis says, T-Lock, Christian McCaffrey, Pierce, Amon-Ra, Devontae, Njoku, along with DK Metcalf, Madison, Kirk, and half PPR. Okay, that's a pretty, I mean, I'm not complaining. Anytime you have Devonta Smith, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, DK Metcalf, Madison, Christian McCaffrey, Pierce, T-Law, yeah, I'm not complaining. I think this is a pretty solid team. Christian Kirk is a little bit of a luxury player there for your additional flex, so that works. Who do I package trade from a premium player? If you're looking to make a huge premium upgrade, you're grabbing you're grabbing Pierce and Dave. Yeah, you would grab Pierce and DK Metcalf and go get a top 8 wide receiver. You go get CeeDee Lamb. Like that's what you would do. But really, I don't know if someone in your league is down to kind of make that move. I don't know. But that's what you would do. If you have 2 starting flex spots, though, you really don't make that move at all because then you just kind of make your team a little too thin for comfort's sake. Let's see here. Joshua in the chat was saying, who do I start in week 1? Kincaid, Higbee, or Musgrave? I'll have week 1 thoughts, analysis, all that available starting September 4th. Until then, I'm in draft mode, and I have no idea who half these teams are playing in week 1. I'll tell you that much in advance. Connor says, draft advice. I'm in a 10-team half PPR league. I'm on the clock. Hold up. Brandon Ayuk, Terry McLaurin. I like that. I like it's not about the matter of the McLaurin pick. I like Chris Godwin here a lot, and that's probably where I'm going to go. Madison's also, oh man, so is but I already invested there. Justin Herbert's available. I could end up going Herbert, but at this point, I've kind of already oh wow, I kind of have to take Herbert here. Now, let's just see what happens. Let's take Godwin. Let's see what this team turns into if I just ignore QB early. It's probably going to come bite me in the ass, but that's usually how it works whenever you don't take an early QB in this kind of a format. I feel like this year, more than any other year, quarterback early is so essential to your overall success. Or at least when I look at my team and I don't have an early QB on it, I just think, man, did I miss out on some studs? Like, I just kind of the thought process that I usually have. And there's no way that Herbert survives enough to come back to me. I'll probably have to pick up like Tua or Dak Prescott in a later round, which is okay, but don't love it. Just drafted Deontay Johnson 5.4. Thoughts? Deontay Johnson at 5.4. Listen, you could say, Andrew, I just drafted Deontay Johnson. You don't even have to tell me where you drafted him at. I'm going to, round of applause, firm handshakes. Well done. Because if you're on the Deontay Johnson train, then you truly understand that fantasy football is all about targets and opportunity. And that's exactly what that young man's going to have this year. A lot of opportunity. We had a question that came in. Okay, so we took care of Joshua, Connor Cullen. We were about to get to your question, then I got on the clock. He said, I'm in a 10-team half PPR league, standard roster. Okay. So basically two running backs, two wide receivers, one tight end, one flex, one quarterback. I have the second spot. I'm thinking of doing a 0 RB and going Gibbs in the third. Yeah, that works. That works. Considering the half PPR format, I think you're perfectly fine to be able to do that. You take like Chase second overall, right? Because you have the second spot, and then you follow it up by taking assuming maybe Calvin Ridley's there, you take him there, and then you take Gibbs in the third. I'm okay with that. Godwin versus DJ Moore for the flex spot. Again, we'll talk about week 1 when we get to September 4th. That'll be the official beginning of week 1. Until then, again, Andrew's still in draft season, therefore drafting on screen and try to answer questions regarding rosters going into the year. Andrew in the chat was saying, hey, just subscribed. Sorry. Hey, bro, been subscribed for a while. Rate my 12-team league. 3 wide receivers, PPR. Quarterback is Kirk Cousins. Wide receivers are Diggs, St. Brown, and DJ Moore. I love that trio. My running backs are Mixon and Rachaad White. Great. They both have extremely high receiving upside. We have Christian Watson in the flex. Fantastic. Pat Freiermuth, the tight end. That's great. How's it look? Bench is RJ Stash. I'm assuming you meant Rashawn Johnson as your stash. I mean, that's fine. Look, your roster for a full PPR, considering you prioritized wide receiver as much as you did, and you also were able to still get kind of studs at running back in terms of receiving upside, that's great. I just don't like having Kirk Cousins as my starting quarterback. That's just going to be my opinion, right? Hopefully your team is able to overcompensate for his lack of production. Like last year, the inconsistencies that was Kirk Cousins hopefully never returns again, because he really wasn't great, guys. Like there were more than a handful. There were like 6 games last year where he was unstartable. Like his overall production in those weeks, that's why I don't like going after quarterbacks that can't run at least for like 300 yards. Like I have a whole section on it in my draft guide. Like mobile quarterbacks are the way. And if you don't grab a mobile quarterback, or at least someone that is capable of being mobile, I just don't like it. Like even though Kirk Cousins, let's figure this out. Last season, 291 fantasy points, right? But there were also 6 games in which he was unstartable. 13 fantasy points, 12.9, 11.8, 8.8, 7.9, 2.2. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, I can't, like, there are going to be weeks that he kills you, and you just have to live with it. I mean, I guess, like, the rest of your team, like I said, has to overcompensate for his lack. Outside of that, the rest of your team is fine. Okay, Dropping Sense says, and I quote, thoughts on Komet? Purely touchdown dependent. Purely. Like, it is not even close. George Pickens available? I like that, to be honest. Quarterback is kind of a slugfest here. Do I want to take another running back just to have more depth? No, not really. I think we'll go wide receiver here. If it's between Gabe Davis, Pickens, Jordan Addison, Michael Pittman, I'll take the gamble here. If I'm not getting Deontay, at least I'll take George Pickens and get a little piece of that offense. I'm fine with that. Let me bring up the draft board once again. Apologies. Okay, so where are we at? So in terms of Dropping Sense question, Komet, purely touchdown dependent. He had 7 touchdowns last year. Without those touchdowns, in terms of his overall yards per game with Justin Fields, they were not good numbers. Like, I'm going to go pull them up so I have them as reference, just so we're on the same page. He did not play well with Justin Fields. Now, hopefully they can both improve this offseason, specifically Fields, and it'll, kind of heighten his overall game. But in terms of a per game average with Justin Fields last season, he was averaging 37 receiving yards per game and 3.5 receptions per game. So in a half PPR scoring format under that assumption, I mean, even in a full PPR scoring format under that assumption, he scores maybe 7 points a week, and then he'll need that touchdown to be relevant. I mean, that's the tight end position in a bottle. Like, hey, can you score a touchdown? If you can, you shatter the bottle, you get into the top 12 conversation, you're a relevant guy. Otherwise, you're just kind of a secret, and no one really, no one's going to start you, and no one's going to really trust you. As for your follow-up question, you drafted drafted him in the 9th round at the 8th pick in a 12-team league. 9th round, 8th pick, 12-team league. Okay. PPR, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex. I have Chubb, Henry. That's great. Fields, DK, great. Pierce, Godwin, Deontay Johnson. All right. Listen, man, you're speaking my language here. You're speaking my language. Cowboys defense, I love that as well. Charbonnet, yep. Graham Gano, that's fine. Elijah Moore, that's fine. Musgrave is another option, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, again, if your tight end is Cole Kmet and the rest of your team looks like that, I don't have any complaints. Like, again, you're either going to go for a stud tight end or you're going to punt the position. And by punting the position, that is perfectly fine. It's just, that's how fantasy football works, because there isn't enough depth at tight end to be able to just like recoup. You're just saying, okay, let's just see what happens. The fact that Kittle went this late, and then the fact that these two tight ends went so quickly after is a little surprising in my mind. But oh man, who took David Montgomery? Who did it to me? Of course. I was waiting. I was hoping David Montgomery would fall to me there. Unfortunately, did not. In the absence of David Montgomery, we go quarterback here. All right. We'll take Deshaun Watson in the 7th, and we'll let it ride. Okay. Let's see here. Abdullah in the chat says, hey, Andrew, I rate my 12-team league. We have a full PPR scoring format. I have Lamar, I have Saquon, I have Sanders, Diggs, Sutton, Andrews, Marquise Hollywood Brown. I'm going to be totally honest, Abdullah, I just don't like your wide receivers. Diggs is incredible, but Sutton as your wide receiver too, and Marquise Hollywood Brown as your flex is not fun. Not fun at all. I think Sutton can be okay until Judy returns, and then Sutton kind of disappears to being what he was last year, which is consistent at being inconsistent for fantasy purposes. I think Marquise Hollywood Brown is subject to the quarterbacks he plays with. And as far as I'm concerned, his two starting quarterbacks potentially for week 1 is either going to be Josh Jacobs or Clayton Tune. And we both know that that's not great for him. So yeah, outside of Lamar, Sanders, Diggs, and Andrews, those 4, options. Sanders also great. Cook is great, but those wide receivers scare me. And we're going to need upgrades on those fast pronto. Jeff says, now that Gaskin got traded to the Vikings, I think he got signed and picked up by the Vikings. I don't think he got traded. Anyway, continuing. Who do I start week 1 in a PPR? In my flex, Madison, Jamal Williams, Lockett. Again, week 1 we'll get to on September 4th. You got to remember, even though Myles Gaskin was signed by the Minnesota Vikings, the guy's not going to play. He's not better than Ty Chandler. He's not going to be that RB2 on this team. If he ends up being there, if he ends up earning an RB2 spot immediately, that just goes to tell you how solidified Alexander Madison is going to be for the RB1 role within that offense. All right. We had Jaden. Actually, after dropping cents, we had, where's the question? It was from Stromp City Ram 318. It says, rate my team. I have Fields, Kupp, Ridley, Deontay Johnson, Bijan, Gibbs, Higbee. I don't really have any complaints here. The fact that you have Kupp, Ridley, Deontay Johnson, Bijan and Gibbs, Montgomery, and Jahan Dotson, along with Fields, you punted at tight end, which is perfectly fine because you got Higbee. You still have Zay Flowers. You have Algier as a handcuff for Bijan. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with this roster. Well, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I have no complaints. If I have to rate that as, I'm assuming, right? If you get Kupp, Ridley, Fields, Bijan, and Gibbs, it's a 10-team league. That's an A draft, right? You have too many studs for it not to be a 10-team league. There's no way. But yeah, I'd grade it as an A because, if I got that in a 12-team league, I'm thinking I'm winning the league, right? Let's see here. Eugenio Hernandez says, who has more upside, Garrett Wilson, Olave, or Waddle? Of the group, I think Garrett Wilson has the most upside amongst the group. The quarterback he's associated with in comparison elevates him to that upside, right? We wouldn't be surprised if Garrett Wilson finishes this year with 1,400 receiving yards and 14 touchdowns. We would not be surprised. So, could we say the same thing about Jalen Waddle and Olave? I don't think so. At least I don't feel as strongly about that overall upside from my perspective. Higgins or Devonta Smith in a standard? If I'm playing in a standard scoring format, I'm probably playing. Ooh, you know what? That's a good one. I got to think about that for a second. Let me think on that. Let's go ahead. Let's make a pick here. Khalil Herbert's available. That's already being selected. It's already done. I don't even have to click it. He's on my team. I just want to look around for the purposes of just having fun. Okay, so through how many rounds are we through here? 8 rounds. We have Cup, Jacobs, Andrews, Aaron Jones, Chris Godwin, George Pickens, Deshaun Watson, Khalil Herbert. Not bad. I think I probably could have gone about this very differently had I had taken Joe Mixon in the third and a quarterback in the fourth, and then still gotten Chris Godwin in the fifth. I think I could have gone about this a little bit differently, but that's just punting on tight end, which again, at this point, I don't mind that. I think that's probably the only regret that I have in this draft is not going for Mixon in the third, therefore getting Herbert in the fourth, and then eventually getting Chris Godwin in the fifth, just like I did. That's the only regret that I have. Otherwise, I think it's a solid team. Let's see. We had a couple more questions that were sent in, but before we get to those, just want to address a couple more questions in the chat. Let's see here. How do we feel about replacing defense spot for flex? Cali Bear, what do you mean by that? How do we feel about replacing defense? Oh, so basically, like in your league, you don't have a team defense and special teams. You just have an additional flex. I think that's fair. Again, there is skill required to starting a defense and drafting it and the different draft capital and having more options within your fantasy league. So like you could make trades that involve defenses, and it kind of adds an extra layer to the entire game within the game. But if you guys just want to say, hey, you know what? Defense and special teams often has to do with luck and matchups and all that kind of jazz, and we don't want to deal with it. If you get a wide majority of your league to say, yeah, let's get rid of it and let's make it a flex spot, I don't mind that. Can't see the board, G. Apologies. Let me go ahead and let me shrink myself. Thank you for letting me know. I'll just go ahead. I'll just hang out in the corner here. Hopefully that kind of helps y'all. Apologies. Let's go ahead. Let me see here. We had a couple more questions that were in the chat. Eternal 305 says, in round 6, need an RB, Cam, Javonte, Miles, or Dobbins. Out of those available options, Eternal, I like Miles Sanders a lot. Yeah, that's kind of just, that's my guy. Where is Chubb? I don't know. Chubb went in the first round, 10th pick overall. And it was followed up with CeeDee Lamb, Jonathan Taylor, Debo, Brandon Ayuk. Look, here's the problem. This team, what is going on here? We're drafting the all injured and suspended squad, right? Jonathan Taylor missing 4 games. Alvin Kamara missing 3 games. Marquise Hollywood Brown doesn't have a quarterback. Jerry Jeudy's injured. 2 players on the same roster. I mean, this is the risky squad. The risky squad, to say the least. Okay, where are we at here? So Jaden Thornton followed up, said, please rank CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Adams, Wilson, and Chubb. What's the scoring format, Jaden? Type it in the chat, and I'll be able to answer that for you immediately. Thanks. Let's see here. Ibrahim Yusuf, what's up, man? Says, Andrew, thoughts on Najee Harris in a half PPR? Top 10? Top 10, no. Top 12, yes. But definitely at 12. How risky is Hill, Waddle, Tua stack? Is it risky? Wait, did I just draft? Oh, no. I took Ingram. Bruh, you guys know how much I don't like Ingram. Yo, who is available? I would have happily went with Charbonnet. Yo, I'm an idiot. Okay, look, this is every day, though. This is every day. If you guys have been here for the last 4 days, this is how Andrew works. He will get sidetracked with questions, and he will auto-pick. And the fact that I got Evan Ingram is just karma to just me not liking Evan Ingram, I guess. It is what it is, man. You know, we're having fun. If I end up winning these leagues against you guys, so be it. If you guys end up beating me, even better. Take my money. I don't want it. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Anyone know where Najee Harris is? On this draft board in specific, Najee Harris. Let's see. Let's F3 function it, and let's see if we find Najee. Najee right here. 3rd round, 35th overall. He is the... Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12th running back off the board. I can't believe Jonathan Taylor's still going ahead of him. I actually cannot believe that. That is crazy. That is actually crazy. Okay, moving on. Jaden Thornton, I'm waiting for your response. After I get that, you said full PPR. I'm at 1.11. Okay, cool. So, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, Wilson, Adams, Chubb, full PPR. Let's go ahead and let's pull up my rankings. Full PPR. I have Chubb number 1, CeeDee Lamb number 2, Amon-Ra 3, Adams 4, Garrett Wilson 5. Thank you. Hopefully that makes sense. If you need me to repeat it, just rewind the overall VOD and we're good to go. Thank you. Kyle Strobel had a question. He said 10-team full PPR. I have Justin Jefferson, CD Lamb. That's crazy. Unless that's Josh Jacobs. I'm going to assume that is JJ as in Justin Jefferson, though. CD Lamb, Jalen Hurts, Keenan Allen, Breece Hall, Dallas Goedert, Alexander Madison, Jahan Dotson, San Francisco defense, along with Daniel Carlson. I love Daniel Carlson. Guys, if you are going to make a selection for a kicker this season, and you're like, you know what? I don't know what kicker to pick. Daniel Carlson has been the best fantasy kicker for 2 years in a row now. He is up there in the conversation with Justin Tucker for one of the best kickers in the league. And on top of it, now they have Jimmy Garoppolo, which means far more stalled out drives that leads to overall field goals in my mind. It just continues to build upon. I think last season, he had a streak of like never miss. Maybe it was not even just last year. Maybe it was the last 2 seasons. He hadn't missed a field goal at home in Las Vegas for like, I don't know, 20 some odd games. He missed one, but then he was otherwise great. Let me see here. Daniel Carlson. I know he probably in terms of ADP comes off the board early. So if you play someone that auto drafts, he's gonna be gone. But ultimately, let's look at these stats. Last season in 2022, field goals attempted and made, he was 34 of 37. The year prior was 40 for 43. The year prior, 33 of 35. Again, very rarely misses. Has made 33 plus field goals the last 3 seasons. Additionally, in terms of PATs, 45, 30, and 35. He only missed one last year. I mean, whenever we're talking about a stud. And additionally, he was 11 for 13 from 50 yards or more. 11 for 13. If you play in a league where you get 5 points for a 50-yard field goal, 11 for 13. He's a monster. Daniel Carlson, do not forget the name. Okay, guys? Keep it moving. Thank you. Brian Colorado has sent in a question. Let me go ahead and address that in a second. So, actually, really quickly, Kyle Strobel had said something about Daniel Carlson. That's what triggered me. That's what it was. So, with your team being JJ, I'm going to have to draft you in a second. I need a wide receiver, and I also need running back depth because I've neglected both. Welcome to the squad, Adam Thielen. Thank you very much. So in regards to your roster, JJ, CD Lamb, Jalen Hurts, Keenan Allen, Breece Hall, Alexander Madison, Jahan Dotson. Again, you prioritize wide receiver. You prioritize quarterback. You got the tight end stack with that quarterback. You have Breece Hall. You have Madison. They're both RB2s. They're solid in their own right. Of course, you have the PPR format, which significantly helps both those backs because they have receiving upside. And you have Keenan Allen, which is even better in a PPR format. Dotson, Montgomery off your bench, which is incredible. So in case of an injury, you're great. You have Nico Collins, which, again, is Nico Collins even available in this league? Did I just look past him? Yeah, somebody already grabbed him. Where did he get taken? Nico Collins should probably come off the board before 10th round, guys. He should. Just keep that in mind. That's another player that besides Daniel Carlson, I want you to keep that in mind when you draft in future drafts. He should be taken before. He should definitely be taken before Rashad Bateman, for goodness sake. Like, he should be. Am I on the clock again? Well, what do we have here? Considering the entire scenario here, I mean, I guess I'll take Samaje and we'll just see where that goes. Keep it moving. All right. So overall, in terms of your roster, Kyle, I like it. I mean, that's really all I can say. You're scared of JJ plus Matt. I mean, to be totally honest, if they get down into the red zone, the assumption is that one of those two guys will hopefully score. So again, I don't mind it. If you're going to have multiple players from the Vikings, I've consistently said what I want is JJ on the team. If you don't have JJ and you have like Madison, Hawkinson, and Addison, then you're in trouble because JJ should be the guy that is getting majority of those opportunities down in the red zone. I saw something in the chat that was quite intriguing. I wanted to... Where is it? Andrew, have you done a defensive video before? I got the Steelers defense, Washington, and the Saints defense available. What do you think? The Steelers defense is the best of those overall. If I had to rank the three, I would rank them Steelers, Washington Commanders, and then New Orleans Saints. Oh, sorry, no. It would be Steelers, Saints, and Commanders in that order. But yeah, Steelers is the best defense out of the bunch. So you're good to go there. We had a follow-up question from Brian Colorado. Brian, I'm going to get to your question right now. He said, in a full PPR, 6 point per passing touchdown, should I move Connor for Herbert, Khalil Herbert? Should I move Connor for Herbert in a full PPR? No. I don't believe Khalil Herbert will get enough receiving work to be able to compete with Connor in that regard, so I wouldn't. Yeah, that's my thought process. Big Verge says, rate my team 10-team full PPR. We have Lamar Jackson. We have Justin Jefferson, St. Brown, Waddle. Okay. Christian Watson, Zay Flowers, Mike Evans. All right. So where did you go wrong? We have Pitts at tight end. You didn't go wrong there. You went Stevenson, Breece Hall, Rashad White, and P. Ryan, and DeAndre Swift. All right. Pretty solid team. If I had to rate your team, I'm thinking, considering you have Jefferson, St. Brown, Waddle, Christian Watson, Lamar Jackson, Stevenson, Breece Hall, that's an A. Like, I don't know how you... That's an A team. I don't have a problem with this team. This is a monster squad. Jimmy says thanks for the donation. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. So this draft is getting to the 12th round. I'm probably considering I started stream at around, when did we start stream? 8:45. We've been here for just over an hour. I want to get into another draft so that you guys have an opportunity to draft alongside me. We're going to go ahead and do it again. Is there drafts that are more, I mean, technically, what is this, 10-team? So I guess you can do a 10-team draft, but you could do a 12-team draft as well. But what's the buy-in on this? Like $5? Yeah, let's just do $3. I mean, like, we're not here to, like, bankroll everyone. I'm going to drop this into the chat right now. If you guys are interested, you guys can join me for the second draft. While I wait for that, I'm going to keep an eye on this so that I can draft accordingly. Yeah, so Big Verge, that is a monster squad. I don't know what to tell you, man. Jaden Thornton says, is Lamar / Andrew stack solid or too high for the 3-4? If you can get it in the 3-4, hats off to you. That's a good combo. I don't mind it at all. Especially if we're assuming that offense takes a massive step forward in terms of the passing game. I think you'll be good to go. The Beast Hydra. Yeah, it's not Hydra because it doesn't have an A at the end. Or any other recommendations. So what do we... Okay, so that's your question. Rate my 12-man league, full PPR with Trevor Lawrence, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Stevenson, Hill, A.J. Brown, Pitts, Lockett, Jets defense, Daniel Jones, Penny, Pickens, Juju, drop Bigsby for Jawan Johnson. So basically you're asking, do you need the tight end depth even though you already have Kyle Pitts? I don't believe you need the tight end depth. I think Bigsby is not a bad player to hold. You don't have ETN, so you're basically holding someone else's handcuff. But still, in this regard, the fact that you have Gibbs, Montgomery, Stevenson as your primary 3 backs in a full PPR, I like it. Especially if, I like the Darnell Mooney pick there. I actually do. That's a great one. I need more wide receivers. I've kind of neglected them as of late, so we'll just go ahead and address that now. I like Jonathan Mingo a lot, but I already took Adam Thielen, so I don't want to double dip. I'm going to go with Jalen Hyatt here. He just changed his number to number 13. Looks a lot like Odell out there for the one and only New York Football Giants. So in terms of Lawrence, again, solid quarterback. You have really good running back depth. You have solid wide receivers with Hill and A.J. Brown. And then you have Lockett as your backup wide receiver, which again, the guy's been a top 15 wide receiver for 5 consecutive years. Pitts, Jets defense, Daniel Jones. Again, I'm not too, inclined to roster 2 starting quarterbacks. So if you would like to, you could just drop Daniel Jones for Jawan Johnson. I don't really care to roster multiple quarterbacks. So that's just my my approach. I love that you have Pickens and Penny, Juju. I mean, you got a solid team there, Beast. You got a solid team there to say the very least. Additionally, the only other thing that I wanted to mention regarding this team, no, that's it. That's it. I mean, you got a solid team. No complaints. Damn, that's a lot of good running back depth. And the fact that you still got Hill, A.J. Brown, and Lockett in a 12-man league, I don't know how you do that. I'm so confused. Like, some of these drafts just, they go so differently than how they would go in my mind. You know what I mean? Jimmy says, how's the number 4 spot? Stash house? All right, stash house. Let's see here. Depends. Are you going to snag a player for me? Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley, J.K. Dobbins, your RB1, Antonio Gibson, your RB2. What are we doing? It depends. Are we going? Okay. Let's hear me out. Okay. as I sit here in the bottom right corner. Hear me out, guys. If we're going for the idea, Stash House, Jimmy, if we're going for the idea that we're trying to win Best Ball Mania 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all of them, right? For the next couple years, and you're trying to go for the 5-head Omega route where, I'll take Jonathan Mingo anyway. Again, I already have Thielen. I don't think I want to double up there. What I'd rather do is most likely, I already have a second tight end, and I just kind of want to survive here. I'll take my Brock Purdy and just happily ride off into the sunset. Yeah, so here's the thing, right? If you're building this team like you're trying to build a best ball team, then fine. Because if I'm not mistaken, last season, the winner of Best Ball Mania 3, okay, had a monster squad. In the way that he went about drafting that team, I don't know if you guys have actually seen it. I'm sure you've heard of it or someone has mentioned it in regards to over the course of last year. The guy was the number 10 overall selection in a 12-team league, right, in Best Ball Mania. He literally went wide receiver, tight end, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, quarterback, and then only in the 8th round did he begin by taking a running back. Then had wide receiver again, then triple running back from rounds 10 through 11, then wide receiver. He went Adams, Kelsey, A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Amon-Ra, Jalen Hurts, Burrow, Sanders, Garrett Wilson, Kenneth Walker, Rashad White, Damian Pierce, Nico Collins. He had, obviously, one of the most legendary drafts of all time. Therefore, he won, Best Ball Mania 4. Best Ball Mania 3. And a lot of people are trying to emulate that. I don't know if that's what you're trying to emulate, Jimmy, but geez, man. Antonio Gibson as your RB2 is risky. Buddy says, Andrew, I got laughed at by the Ramondre Stevenson owner for offering Javonte Williams and Christian Kirk. Okay. Tell him to shove it. I don't know what who cares if he laughed at you? Who cares? Just keep it moving, man. You're fine. Should I go for Damian Pierce in a half PPR? Are you going to be sending Javonte Williams and Christian Kirk for Damian Pierce? I wouldn't. I think I'd rather just keep what you have in that regard. Okay, did the other draft start? Okay, we're still waiting on a couple more people to join this one. So if you guys haven't yet already, again, I'm going to drop the link in the chat. If you guys are interested, you can join as of this current moment in time. Additionally, if you guys haven't checked out Underdog Fantasy at this moment, as it says to the right side of the screen, if you sign up today using code Andrew, make a first-time deposit minimum of $10. Not only will you get the first-time deposit match, you deposit 10, you'll get 10. You'll deposit 100, you get 100. That's the maximum. You'll also get my 2023 Fantasy Football Draft Guide, the rankings that are included with that. Those rankings will be updated very early Saturday morning, which will include everything that has occurred over the last 2 days in terms of PUP players, cuts, etc., practice squad players, all of that taken into account. So that'll be ready for this upcoming weekend. Everything right now still is relatively stable in terms of my rankings. It's not going to shift much. It's just a couple players like, for example, Isaiah McKenzie, the former slot receiver of the Buffalo Bills. He was signed by the Colts this offseason. He was cut today. It's a little bit of a surprise, but not really, because Joshua Downs, the rookie wide receiver, who reminds me a lot of Amon-Ra St. Brown, is assumed to be probably, a very stable part of that offense and is going to be one of the favorite targets for a guy like Anthony Richardson. So that kind of stuff. Just keep it in mind. Where are we at? So we had Beast. Okay, took care of that. Jimmy says yes, sir. Okay, Jimmy. David Waters, what's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Andrew, any advice for IDP leagues? Oof, my brother, I do not play in IDP leagues. There are far more skilled, practiced, and strategy conscious people of the fantasy football community that I'm sure that you can find that can give you advice on having 2 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, and 3 DBs on your team for your fantasy squad. I am not the person to ask that question to, because quite frankly, I don't have the answer. I wish I had the answer. I wish I had the time to be able to also do IDP leagues, but my goodness, there are so many defensive players, and that is so much more work to have to wonder what the other side of the ball looks like, what the injuries they're dealing with. Oh my gosh, that would be just, woo. I just try to avoid it at all costs, but hopefully you can find someone in the fantasy community. Look, if you're looking for, I'm trying to think honestly, I don't play in IDP, so I couldn't even tell you who does IDP. There's got to be someone out here. whether they're on YouTube or whether they're a part of one of these organizations. Someone's got to have it. So, right? Someone's got to have it. Buddy makes a really good point. He says that there are 276 of you in the chat, but only 66 likes. If you guys could do me a solid and click the like button down below, it'd be greatly appreciated. Again, we are drafting via Underdog Fantasy. If you guys are trying to get in on some of these drafts, do not forget, at this current moment in time, you have to be eligible in one of these potential states. You have to be older than 18 in some of them, older than 21, older than 19 in some of them, all of that. So keep that in mind. Also, you want to draft responsibly. Do not become, something far more dangerous than just a normal fantasy football player. Just, write it out, have fun, join us as we have three more spots available in our upcoming league. Again, if you guys are not eligible and you're like, hey, Andrew, how do I still get the draft guide? It would be via Patreon. If you're like, hey, Andrew, I don't want to do the monthly subscription thing, you can go ahead and join and then immediately get the draft guide at the rankings. And then you'll also be able to continue to get the services even after you cancel on the same day that you subscribe. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can also attain that today. The only other thing that I wanted to mention, where are we? Okay, so we still have 3 people. Where are we? We're at 10:06 p.m. The only other thing I wanted to mention, yeah, we'll take care of that in a bit. Can you rate pick 8? Yeah, let's go back. Am I on the clock here? Perfect timing. And I'm gonna auto pick and nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. Here it is. Can I take it? No. I did auto pick. What did I get? What did I get? I got another tight end. Yo, that's disgusting. The auto pick came back and it was this. I mean, it is what it is. Pick 8. Stephon Diggs into Devontae Adams to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson in the third is a little too risky in my mind. Yeah, I think it's a little too risky, but I understand the take because these 2 running backs are not fun to grab early third. I think late third, it's definitely more palatable. So Lamar into ETN, into Hawkinson, I think you can survive with this kind of team, but again, I don't like this. I don't like Lamar that early in the third. It's not my vibe. I think if Lamar is going to put up 400 fantasy points this year and be able to compete with these 3, then I'll eat my words in this scenario, right? But I just don't know if Lamar can do that again. Yeah, it's tough. I don't know if this offense, with the way that it's built personnel-wise, I know they've brought in other pieces, but I still don't know if they're going to be able to throw the ball 40 times a game. I don't think that's the kind of offense that they technically will have, but we'll see. Otherwise, like everything outside of that, like the ETN, Adams, Diggs, Hawkinson, these are Jahan Dotson, Rashad White. I like all these other pieces. It's just like, if you don't go quarterback here, where else could you go? You're almost pigeonholed into it because I just don't like these guys. Not at this point. Yeah, it's tough. I could understand taking Najee here and then coming back here, but then you maybe get Burrow. If Lamar goes here elsewhere, it could work. But again, I'm splitting hairs. 3 more people still required for this draft. If you guys need the link, I'll go ahead and drop it in the chat once more. Thank you very much. I'm going to get to answering questions. So in the chat, Matt says, I'm doing a single IDP player in a full PPR. I picked up Nick Bosa and TJ Edwards. I couldn't even tell you who TJ Edwards plays for. That's how much I don't care about defense. If I had to guess, okay, I'm going to make a this is an actual guess. No, it's not. It's an educated guess. He plays linebacker for the Bears, right? TJ Edwards, he used to play for the Philadelphia Eagles. I know, yeah, does he play for the Eagles still maybe? Who's he play for right now? Yep, he plays for the Bears. Yeah. I know a lot of football. I play it off as if I don't, but even the defensive players, I think I can rattle off a lot of names. Because I watch enough film throughout a given week to be able to identify who the monsters are on some of these defenses and which teams I don't want to be playing my studs against. Would you ever take Fields over Burrow in a super flex, 4-point per passing touchdown? I would take Fields over Burrow in a 4-point per passing touchdown super flex every single time. The only time I would take Burrow ahead of Fields is in a 6-point per passing touchdown league. Tex says, hey, Andrew, rate my team, 12-team league, full PPR. Nice. We're in 8. I have the number 8 spot. Awesome. Who else is in here with me? Emma Watson. Great name, good one. Jay Gall, Rob, Dark Matter, Caption, Pocket, Devin, what's up, guys? Um, Bean, Puckett, Breezy. All right, Breezy. Back at it again, huh? At a baby. So, where are we at again? So, Tex was saying in a 12-team league, he has Deshaun Watson, he has Henry, he has Damian Pierce, he has CeeDee Lamb, Keenan Allen, Higbee, Deontay Johnson, Kamara, Jamal Williams. So, in a 12-team league where you start with CeeDee Lamb, Henry as the 1-2 combo, you finish off with Keenan Allen in the third. Who's your 4th round pick? Is it Damian Pierce? Does Damian Pierce go in the 4th round in these leagues, guys? I would assume he doesn't, Pierce. Pierce is a 6th rounder. So what happened to your roster is my question. You have Henry, Pierce, CeeDee, Keenan Allen, Higbee, Deontay Johnson. So I don't get it. Tex, you got to tell me what happened to this draft, man. It's a 12-team league, but I feel like you got skamazed. Ben in the chat says 8-man. First 5 picks are Kelsey, Eckler, Henry, Amon-Ra, Mixon. How do we feel? We have 8-man league. Kelsey, Eckler, Henry, Amon-Ra, Mixon. Yeah, well, no complaints. Incredible. I mean, 8-man league. You got the all-star team, but I mean that's fantastic. It's a great way to start. You get the running back advantage with 2 studs. You get the tight end advantage. And I would have loved to, instead of had Mixon, had another receiver there, but I don't know what's available. But overall, good to go. Robert joining now. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it. Can you rate the 8 picks, says Aaron? Yeah, let's go back to the last draft here. Yeah, we already did that. Okay, cool. Yeah. As long as we're on the same page, we already did that. Brian Colorado says, did you see the update? I meant Khalil Herbert instead of McLaurin. Brian, let me see what you... Okay, so you said... TMC is McLaurin. Got it. Should I move Connor for Herbert and McLaurin? Yes. At that point, when you get McLaurin also, I'm very comfortable with that move. Okay, I'm on the clock here. I'm going to let it auto pick. Best of luck. I'm leaving that draft. We're coming back here. We're at the 8th overall selection. I'm hoping at least Bijan Robinson falls to me. If not, we'll see what happens, and we'll keep it moving. Let's see here. Tomas says, thoughts on my 12-team full PPR league. We have Daniel Jones. I don't love it, but again, he still has top 12 upside. Pollard, Stevenson, love that. Lamb, Amari Cooper, great. Kittle, fantastic. Dobbins, great. Montgomery's off the bench with London, Mingo, Lazard, and Anthony Richardson as my backup quarterback. Yeah, that's fine. Considering we're starting your draft off with a Lamb-Pollard combo into Stevenson, Amari Cooper, into Kittle, into Dobbins, and then you're obviously prioritizing, once again, more depth with running back, wide receiver. Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're probably going to have to switch off every single... Did someone take Bijan Robinson in front of me? Devin, I'll never forgive you. It is what it is. We'll take Eckler. Thank you. So, I mean, honestly, I thought Eckler would be gone, but I'll take him. I'll take him. It's fine. I think he's better off than Bijan this season. So yeah, at this point, you're gonna have to rotate quarterback every week, but luckily, they got pretty good schedules going into this year. Pable Z says, "Yo, Andrew, in a 12-team full PPR, I have Burrow, Stephon Diggs, Amon-Ra, Gibbs, Madison, Andrews, and Khalil Herbert. Should I trade Andrews and Khalil Herbert for Josh Jacobs and pick up a tight end?" If you're worried about your running back depth that much, you can. Who's the tight end that you're going to pick up potentially? That's my follow-up question to that. Where would you take a quarterback in a league that has a 6-point per passing touchdown format and 1 point per completion? Quarterback would be every single pick of the first round. Mahomes is number 1. He scores like 1 point per completion, right? Okay. Under that assumption, just so we're all on the same page, if I'm not mistaken, he probably had, 350 completions last year minimum? Nah, they threw the ball like 600 times, so he must have had over 450 completions. Let's see. What did Mahomes have last year in terms of overall completions? Let's go to the regular season, standard format. Mahomes had 435 completions. So you're telling me that if you get a point per completion and it's a 6-point per passing touchdown league, quite literally, Patrick Mahomes is scoring 900 points in your league this year. 900. And Josh Allen is scoring 850 maybe. Jalen Hurts is scoring 720. Joe Burrow is probably scoring 820, 850-ish. Yeah. Quarterback goes in the first round in that league because you need the elite players. Otherwise, you kind of don't have a chance, really, in any sort of capacity. Am I almost on the clock again? What do we have available? Devontae Adams just went off the board. I'm on Raw at the back end. Okay. Am I going to go double RB here? Jalen Waddle available or Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs? I mean, look, at this point, I don't think Waddle's going to outscore these other lads. So I'm just going to go with the double RB start. We'll see how it kind of transpires. At this point, I'll take my old lad, Derrick Henry, and we'll ride off into the sunset in retirement. Here we go. Brian says Pacheco or Swift in week 1. I don't know, man. At this point, again, week 1 begins on September 4th for Andrew. Until then, yeah, no comment until then. No comment. All right. Nathan B in the chat was saying, hey, Andrew, should I upgrade my running back or let the season play out before making a move? In a full PPR scoring format, I have Kupp, Waddle, Williams, Judy, Evans, and Dotson. Additionally, I have Chubb, Madison, Sanders, Gibson, along with Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson at quarterback, and TJ Hawkinson at my tight end position. Yeah, I don't think you need to make any moves, man. I think you've got a really solid roster with Chubb, Madison, and Sanders there as your RBs, as your primaries. Kupp and Waddle and Williams will not leave the lineup. Judy could come in eventually once healthy. You have Evans, you have Dotson. There's no need to make any moves there. I guess considering how much depth you have, you could be like, hey, I'm going to move Madison or Sanders plus Mike Williams and try to go make a massive upgrade at running back. You could absolutely do that, but it's just a matter of what teams in your league are really interested in those kind of players. And who really needs the depth, considering probably everyone does. Why not go Saquon there? I just think that primarily, I believe Derrick Henry will outscore Saquon Barkley this year. That's my thought process. So that's why I don't take Saquon there. If I thought Saquon would outscore Derrick Henry, I'd go vice versa. I'm just trying to build a team that's going to score the most points. That's it. And I believe that in comparison, Derrick Henry gets me a little bit closer there. What do you think about Najee Harris this year? I think he's low-end RB1. I think he, similar to, like I've said in the last couple of weeks, he reminds me of Melvin Gordon back in 2017, where Austin Eckler's in his back pocket, taking away value. But considering the offense will be significantly better this year, the assumption is that going into this year, it's not going to be enough for Jaylen Warren to topple all of what, I'm fumbling my words right now because my eyes are starting to kind of roll into the back of my head because it's so damn hot in here. I need to turn on the air. Give me a second. So what I'm basically saying is that Jaylen Warren's not going to topple everything that we've seen a guy like Najee Harris built in that backfield. So it won't get to a point where we're thinking, all right, well, he's going to get replaced. He'll always be an active member. He's always going to be the primary starting first and second down back. He will be the goal line back. And then additionally, he also has the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. So we're not too worried there. Taking Henry over Saquon is nuts. Yeah, I mean, listen, to each their own. That's all I got to say, man. If you've got a difference of opinion, good on you. I think that's the whole purpose of fantasy football. There's no one way of winning. If you prefer Saquon, by all means, go for it. I personally just do not think that Derrick Henry is going to take too many steps back this year. He has been just far too consistent. And everyone says, but his offensive line. Bro, when has his offensive line been good? That's my question. I haven't seen his offensive line be good since maybe maybe 2020, maybe 2021 they weren't great. 2022 they weren't great. So, 2020 is probably the last time their offensive line was actually elite. Where you had Lawan, Saffold, Ben Jones, what's his name? Why is the right tackle eluding my mind? Anyway, that was the last time. If I'm not mistaken, back in 2020, Jack Conklin was their right tackle, right? Let me figure this out. Jack Conklin Jack Conklin was in Cleveland by then. So who was the right tackle for that team? Because I know he played. Okay, so he played in Tennessee in 2019. Who is the right tackle? It ever eludes me for some reason. Irako says, how do you feel about my draft? I sent it. It's 2 flex, by the way. What do you mean you sent it? What does that mean? You sent it where? In the chat? Let me see if I can find it. Was it the prior draft, Irako? Let me know. Thanks. I didn't mean my comment to come off as snarky. Yeah, no, honestly, I don't take offense by anybody like saying, hey, this thing over the other. I'm just giving you guys an idea as to like why I actually do it. That is my genuine answer. I wasn't trying to give attitude. I'm just trying to like give you an understanding as to genuinely why I prefer one player over the other. But yeah, but I don't know. Either way. Hopefully you didn't take it the wrong way, because I didn't. I get people questioning my decisions all the time. That's just it. So if I seem defensive, I wasn't trying to be, but I could have been passively. Eternal says, how far separated do you see Josh Jacobs when compared to King Henry and Barkley? I don't think he's separated that far. I think he's in Barkley's pocket. Yeah, I think anytime you can get Josh Jacobs in the 3rd round this year, you're stealing him. All right. The Jeek 22 says full team PPR, 12 teams, full PPR, 2 flexes. First pick was J-Jet. I somehow got Amon-Ra and Garrett Wilson fell to me. Wow. Christian Watson, Justin Herbert. How? Connor Montgomery, Khalil Herbert. Yeah, I mean, look, considering you got so much unbelievable talent at wide receiver, teams are going to be hard-pressed to beat you every week, considering the full PPR format. I don't really care what you have at your other positions. I think the advantage you have there and the fact that you still got Montgomery, Connor, Herbert, and the other Herbert, and Deontay Johnson, I think you'll probably end up trading some players away off this team, specifically the Deontay Johnson off your bench, because in no scenarios outside of a bye week will he ever be playing over Amon-Ra, JJ, or Garrett Wilson. So you're pretty good to go there, man. Yeah, you're pretty solid there, Jeek. David Waters says, where did I end up getting? Okay, yeah. David Waters says, do you think Pollard can be an RB1 with all the red zone touches? The RB1? Like overall, yes. I think there's a chance. But that means Tony Pollard has to score 20 touchdowns this year. That's literally what he has to do. If he doesn't score 20 touchdowns, I don't think he could be the RB1. That would be a very, very difficult thing to accomplish, to say the least. Craig says, Andrew, pick 2 half PPR. Who are you taking first 3 rounds? If we're looking at this draft board, I have pick 2 and a half PPR, right? Half PPR, that's what you said, Craig. I take Christian McCaffrey first. I let it come back in the 2nd round. If the best available wide receiver is one of these guys, I probably end up taking Josh Jacobs in the 2nd here. And then I take a quarterback in the 3rd, like Josh Allen. So I'd go like McCaffrey, Jacobs, Allen. And then I go wide receiver, tight end for the next 3 rounds afterward. Let's see here. Am I on the clock? I am. And there are some wide receivers available that could be of value. I don't want tight end. I might want Justin Fields. Keenan Allen looks like a pretty spicy pickup. I could justify it, but at this point, I'm going to take the Fields, opportunity and let it ride. Thank you. Chris, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Very generous of you. Ramiz in the chat was saying, picked up Kareem Hunt, but wondering whether I should drop him for Deion Jackson. There's a chance that Kareem Hunt could get signed to the Colts. I think it's just a matter of, Ramiz, are you going to be utilizing Deion Jackson from weeks 1 through 4? If you believe, or if you're potentially like a Jonathan Taylor manager and you don't have another running back to fill in his stead, then you have to keep him. Otherwise, I don't mind the idea of having him. Like if you already have 3 other running backs on roster and you're just holding Deion Jackson just to prevent somebody else in your league from getting him, or just to potentially, hey, I have a guy that could end up being valuable within the first couple of weeks. I could trade him eventually, or even utilize him myself. If that's how you're utilizing him, or kind of that's your mentality at this point, I don't mind having Kareem Hunt instead. CK Jordan says, I need a decent tight end in a 12-man full PPR league. What package would you get rid of out of these running backs? Eckler, Rashad White, Javonte Williams, Kamara, Swift, and Charbonnet. I mean, if I'm moving a running back and I want an upgrade in return, let's move Javonte Williams. That's what I'm thinking. Let's move Javonte Williams and let's go see if we can get Darren Waller. If you can't, maybe George Kittle. Otherwise, I don't want to make a move for a running back. Like, I mean, a tight end. Like, I'm not going to trade one of these running backs unless I'm trading Charbonnet for like Dallas Goedert or Kyle Pitts. I'm not moving any of these other guys for anything less than Kittle, Waller, of that caliber, that tier. Full PPR, would you go Saquon or Henry? I would go Saquon in a full PPR. NGA says pick one in a keeper league, full PPR, Hurts, Kupp, Eckler. I'm drafting in the number 2 spot. Thanks. If I'm keeping one, so here's the primary question, NGA. Who is the team in front of you keeping? And do you think if you don't keep Kupp, will he fall to you? Like, can you keep Eckler and get Kupp at the number 2 pick? Or vice versa? Can you keep Eckler and, you know what I mean? Or can you, vice versa. You keep Kupp, you get Eckler in the draft, 2nd overall. You keep Eckler, you get Kupp, 2nd overall. If you're able to do that, yeah, you should probably keep the one that you think you'll have a higher likelihood of not being able to keep instead. Finally caught a live. We doing a live draft with subs after this. This will be the last one. So I started the stream at 8:45. We'll probably close out the stream at 10:45. Another 2-hour stream for the 4th consecutive day. Just in service of like my overall conservation of my voice, considering I've been talking for so many hours today already, considering the recording. If you guys haven't checked out the video I posted today, be sure to go ahead and check that out. Click the like button on that. Also, while you're here, click the like button down below. Be greatly appreciated. So yeah, we'll probably close out today's stream in about 18 minutes at 10:45 p.m. PST. Just to give you some context as to what we're doing here. So far in this draft, sorry, I didn't have the board up. My apologies, guys. I've gone Cooper. Sorry. Where am I at? I'm at Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, DK Metcalf, Justin Fields. For some reason, I was like, I have Cooper Kupp, Jalen Waddle. I was like, wait a minute, that's not my team. Wesley in the chat says, overall thoughts on Hawkinson and Waller? And are they your tight end 3 and tight end 4? Yeah, they are. Overall thoughts? I mean, Hawkinson should probably score himself close to 190 fantasy points this year if he does not miss any time. Waller should probably score 180 fantasy points this year if he doesn't miss time, if not better than that overall, number that I'm throwing out there in terms of my half PPR projection. So, I mean, honestly, the ceiling of Hawkinson's like 215 points. The ceiling of Waller's probably 200, which is similar to his 2019 year, if you guys remember that. I need a wide receiver. Is Hawkinson here? Not bad, but I'm not going to really love what's coming back. Yeah, whatever. Let's take Hawkinson. I'm going to risk it a little bit. Let's see what kind of wide receiver depth I can get to come back to me. I don't think I will get much. But considering you guys have 2 wide receivers, okay, probably one of each will take a wide receiver within these 8 picks. So if the top 4 wide receivers are gone, 1, 2, 3, 4, assuming we don't pick McLaurin or Judy because they're injured, Lockett's gone, Godwin's gone, Kirk's gone, Pickens is gone, I could live with that. With my wide receiver 2 being one of the available afterward. Thank you, Miles. I appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words. Where are we at here? Caught you late, no worries. Appreciate it. Thank you. Dan says 10-man auction league, two quarterback league specifically. We have Herbert, we have J.K. Dobbins, Damian Pierce, excuse me. Waddle, Olave, Chikezimo, Okonkwo, Ridley, Amari Cooper, Deshaun Watson. Thoughts? All right, so you got 2 solid quarterbacks. That's perfect for a 2 QB league. As for the rest of your team, for the current format of it being an auction league, I feel like I would have loved to have had better running back depth. Having Waddle, Olave, and Ridley and Amari Cooper is elite. Now, I don't know what your scoring format is, but I'm assuming you're in a full PPR. Sorry, guys, I didn't have the board up. Apologies. We'll see if my predictions come to fruition. So at the moment, I'm looking at this team and I'm thinking to myself, I would have loved to have better running back depth, but considering what you have at quarterback, what you have additionally at wide receiver, it makes sense that you had to allocate your overall spending at a discounted rate for running back. But at least you got 2 guys that are in my top 24 who definitely have rushing upside. And quite frankly, there are going to be very few running backs that get as many rushing attempts as Dameon Pierce around the range in which you spend for him. So I'm okay with that. Tomas said, why do you think who do you think out of Calvin Ridley, Amari Cooper, and DK Metcalf has the highest ceiling? The highest ceiling out of the 3, I truly do believe, is Ridley number 1, DK Metcalf number 2, Amari Cooper number 3, and that's why I have them ranked as such going into the season. Yeah. Robert says, can you address my picks? Robert, which are you in this draft, or are you just talking about in the chat? Let me check real quick, Robert. Let's see where you at, my man. Let's see here. Where are we at? Robert, what team are you, my man? Oh, are you just Rob? Are you Rob for Lakers? 24 Lakers? If that's the case, okay, so Chris Godwin's gone. That's fine. Tyler Lockett went. That's fine. We have George Pickens still available. We have Tyler. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Man, these running backs are so stacked. I mean, they are. I mean, oh, Dave. Oh my gosh, why did they go so late? I have to take a receiver at this point. I probably just take McLaurin and hope he's healthy. Yeah, that's what I just kind of have to do. I'm kind of pigeonholed into it, considering I already have too much RB depth and I need wide receiver attention immediately. Otherwise, I'll just kind of kill my own team throughout the draft. I took the risk of not taking Chris Godwin where I took TJ Hawkinson, because where I was able to get Hawkinson. Wait, someone's trolling. Someone took Will Disley? Rob. Why are you trolling, man? That's unfortunate. Yeah, that's unfortunate, man. You got to be careful, man. I'm going to be honest. You can get banned for something like that. So, yeah, just let's not do that ever again, huh? Let's not do that again, because Underdog does not play with that stuff. Not one bit. Bills or Saints defense, says Bryce. Going into this year, I prefer the Bills defense. I know that Von Miller is starting on the pup, but in comparison to last year, I mean, Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde were both injured for a significant amount of time last season. Tre'Davious White was coming off the ACL. So the fact that we're in a position now that we have a healthy group of secondary members for that defense, they just signed Christian Kirksey at linebacker, so he'll fill in for the absence of what Edmonds was kind of filling in for last year. I think the Bills are a significantly better defense than they were last year, considering their health is significantly improved. Eternal says, I believe I got fleeced my draft. I got Ridley in the 3rd round after T and Devonta Smith. Thoughts on Ridley's upside in Jacksonville? I think he's got incredible. I mean, again, I have him ranked as my number 12 wide receiver for a reason, guys. So going into this year, I truly do think he could produce higher than his overall current ranking, which would get him into that over 1,000-yard, hopefully 7-8 touchdowns, hopefully over 90, overall receptions. Kind of similar numbers to what we saw like Devonta Smith put up last year. That's what we're hoping for. Okay. Xbox Turn Off said, can you trade in this league? It's not about trading. This is a best ball league. So basically you draft your team on the day today, and the league will automatically run itself based on whoever scores the most points on your roster in a given week. They will be the starters in weeks 1 through 18. Whoever has the highest scoring team by the end of the entire season, or weeks 1 through 17, will then be named champion and win the prize. But yeah, it does suck. Okay, we had a couple more questions here. We had Cameron White saying a 10-team full PPR league. I got Fields, Breece Hall, Rashad White, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, David Njoku, Chris Olave, and DJ Moore in my starting lineup. On my bench, I have D-Hop, Deontay Johnson. Man, okay, here's the thing, Cameron. You have so much wide receiver depth that I would look to probably try to move some of those guys and try to get a better running back than Rashad White as your RB2. I don't think Rashad White is a bad running back, but for a 10-team league, I think you can have a better option there. So that's kind of my suggestion as to how you should approach going forward. Cade C says, yo, Andrew, 12-team full PPR, first pick. First pick, what do you think of my starting lineup? We have Josh Allen, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, Jay Jets, Drake London, Gabe Davis, Mark Andrews. So you started Jay Jets into Mark Andrews, Josh Allen, and then eventually ended up I'm okay with it. I don't love the squad. I'll be totally honest. I don't love it. I'm starting to scratch my head as to where the heck the depth went all of a sudden. I somehow got David Montgomery back. All right, thank you guys, appreciate it. I mean, I only got David Montgomery back because we got so much trolling around. But in terms of this team, Josh Allen JJ into Mark Andrews into. Look, I don't mind your quarterback because he's obviously my number one. You have a number one ranked wide receiver. You have Sanders and David Montgomery, which are solid RB2s. Drake London as your wide receiver 2, I do not love. Gabe Davis as your wide receiver 3, I do not love. So out of your whole team, those are the only parts that I don't like. Otherwise, honestly, Drake London has the ability to potentially become a wide receiver 2, but it depends on whether his quarterback's going to be anywhere within the range of throwing the ball accurately with Desmond Ridder. I don't know if that's a possibility. Additionally, the only other thought process I have is Gabe Davis should be significantly better than he was last year, but even if he's not, he probably is still a top 36 wide receiver, which at a wide receiver 3 on your team is actually decent. So now that I'm thinking about it, all intents and purposes, that's like a B+, maybe A- team. Not bad, actually, Cade. Not bad. Okay, Henry over Saquon. Interesting. Yep. Like I was explaining earlier, I just think Henry's going to score more than Saquon this year. In a full PPR, I would take Saquon because of how much utilization he gets in the passing game. 67 targets last year, 50+ receptions. That's a huge difference maker. But then again, Henry did set career highs in all of his receiving stats. If he does anything even remotely similar, it'll kind of make it it'll be definitely a closer conversation than where people currently have it ranked at. Man, I mean, I should have taken wide receivers way earlier. I do not like what's still available here. Running back looks more intriguing. So does tight end. At this point of the available, I'm kind of forced to picking Cortland Sutton and just hoping that he can survive as my wide receiver 3, but I don't love it. I don't love it at all. What do you think about Ridley Sealing? Should I have taken him instead of Amari Cooper? Yeah, I would have. Yeah. I mean, guys, listen, if you guys are wondering where I kind of have these guys overall ranked, the videos that I posted last week, pretty much last Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, gives you an indication as to where I have these guys ranked. So if you guys haven't checked out those tier list videos, I highly, highly recommend you do so, primarily because they will give you an indication as to not only the stats that I've gathered this offseason that really give me confidence regarding these players, but where I have them ranked in comparison to their constituents at their given positions, or I have a top 50 overall rankings video that I posted yesterday, which also gives you an idea as to where I would have drafted them in comparison. Okay, so that's that. Couple things I want to cover before today's stream is done because we're going to be closing out in about 6 minutes from now, so I want to go ahead and address a final couple things here. First and foremost, again, thank you everybody for coming out today, sending in those super chats, clicking the like button down below, commenting. Again, your viewership, your continued support continues to allow me to create daily fantasy football content, and I cannot thank you guys enough. Again, you guys continue to bring a lot of joy into my life, allowing me to continue to, talk all things fantasy football. So thank you. Outside of that, a couple more things, a couple more reminders. Again, if you have signed up via Underdog Fantasy already this offseason and you're expecting updated rankings, those will probably arrive in your mailbox from my email to yours Saturday morning around 4 or 5 a.m. I'm going to probably be up all night structuring and redoing it until then, so that on Saturday, Sunday, or potentially Monday, because it is a 3-day weekend, you could have the most updated rankings available. Additionally, last couple things I wanted to remind you guys of at this current moment in time via AndrewKiorkofShop.com, like the current sweatshirt that I'm wearing, Greetings and Salutations, Fantasy Football, Andrew Kiorkof. My official merch line is now available. It's called the 1.01 brand. Again, this tie-dye hoodie, champion branded, high quality material, comfortable. Again, you will probably see me wearing this all season, because especially when it gets cold and recording time becomes a matter of Andrew needs to survive and turn on the heat, I'll just wear this jacket and I'll be alive. But either way, if you guys are interested, you can check out the link down in the description. Support the channel. Of course, rep the brand, rep the channel. That's greatly appreciated. I mean, I know wearing a Greetings and Salutations t-shirt, people may be confused as to what is going on, but I would hope that the design of not only just like this and the tie-dye nature of it makes it cool. I mean, I think it's cool. If you guys don't like it, so be it. I like something that I made, and I'm just going to continue to promote it. If you guys agree, then thumbs up, fantastic. Outside of that, I think that pretty much covers it, guys. I'm going to be signing off in about 3 minutes. I'll answer a couple more straggling questions. Again, this was 4 days of streaming in a row. I don't know if I'll be back tomorrow. I don't want to make any promises because, again, tomorrow is Thursday. Tomorrow's Thursday. Maybe I will be back tomorrow. Time will tell. We'll have to wait and see. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I do appreciate it. Again, let's go ahead and let's see. I am on the clock in this draft really quickly. Who do I want to take? Who do I want to take? I'm not too convinced about these receivers. I will probably go ahead and invest in a running back by the name of Antonio Gibson, and I'll keep it moving. Okay, a couple more questions. We had... Where are we at? Where are we at? All right. Napalmed says, I punted running back a bit. In my 12-man league, full PPR, I have Diggs, Allen, Higgins, Walker, Dobbins, Hawkinson, Montgomery, Swift, Njoku, and my bench consists of Michael Thomas, Zach Charbonnet, Mingo, Damian Harris, and Zeke. I don't think you punted at running back. You quite literally have Walker, Dobbins, Montgomery, Swift, Damian Harris, Charbonnet, and Harris. Damian Harris and Charbonnet. You have 6 running backs on roster. You didn't punt. You stacked up, if anything. Dre Plays says, rank these 4 for me in a half PPR scoring format. Okay. So we have Olave, we have Devonta Smith, Higgins, and DK Metcalf. In a half PPR scoring format, again, just a reminder, okay? Let's go ahead and let's put this in perspective. Everything that I do on this channel is for a half PPR scoring format, right? So under the assumption that you guys travel over to the YouTube channel, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with. I'm not trying to, I'm just having fun with it. This was Andrew a couple days ago, right? We were talking about Olave, Devonta Smith, who else? Higgins and DK Metcalf. Great. So we have Devonta Smith. Okay, where is he at? Devonta Smith here. You know what I probably need to do? Let's do this. Let's take the display capture and let's scoot it over. Here we go. So we have Devonta Smith, number 1 amongst this group of players that you're mentioning, right? Then we have Higgins number 1, Devonta Smith 2, DK Metcalf number 3, Olave number 4. If you want specific details as to why this is the case, watching the video certainly will help, because again, I go about 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes each of these players, even though I'm talking about top 50 wide receivers, just try to give as many details as possible as to my opinion. If I was to try to, I can give you the ranking. There's the ranking. If you wanted me to give you the reasoning, again, it's 10:45. We're going to close out today. Thank you, everybody, for coming on by. Again, supporting the channel, all that you guys have. I do appreciate it. Talking about yourself in the third person is wild. GG's. Yeah, I do that a lot. I really do. I often say we when I'm literally the only person that produces content on this channel. I say we a lot as if like there's someone else with me. There's nobody else here. All right, guys. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to cue the music. Appreciate y'all supporting today. And until next time, we'll see you guys. Enjoy the music. And I'll see you. Peace.